So hi, this is Larissa. I'm going to talk today about a technique called heart rate variability. It's a sort of heart-based meditation, and I'm here with my colleague and coach friend, Kate. You want to say hi, Kate?
Hi.
We're going to talk about heart rate variability, and that sounds like a big word maybe, but it's just a sort of meditation technique that we can use, for example, when we're stressed or to control our stress level. To start off, we can talk about the role of the heart. So, throughout history in all languages, we've always talked about things like follow your heart, put your heart into it. And now we're beginning to realize that this actually has a true scientific backing.
And can you explain a little bit more about that as well?
Traditionally we think of our mind as being located in our brain, in our head, and this is really not the case at all. Of course, the brain is one of the central components of our mind, our nervous system, but actually we're discovering, we have this gut brain where there's a large area of innervation in our gut. And it's become more and more known that the heart is also a central center of our nervous system. We're beginning to learn how to use this, how it relates to our emotions and our stress in our nervous system to control our life, to control our reactions, how we interact with people, and ultimately make better decisions in our own life.
And what's the benefit of sort of knowing about this? Like, how does that control the rest of the body?
When we can have control of our stress levels, we clearly have a hormonal part, that component that is affected by our stress. And when we are in certain states of calm or relaxation or focus, we are in a greater hormonal balance. And this obviously has effects on our immune system, things even related to our blood pressure. And so it's not just about making good decisions and being calm in our daily life, but also about promoting our health.
I think when I guess your heart is in a good state, where you mentioned that it was about those feelings we have when you have care and love and compassion and appreciation and gratitude and courage. And we all know that when we're in that state that we do feel better and happier, whereas the opposite of that would be stress and anxiety and depression and anger. And we know, those that have experienced it, that we can feel that in our body doesn't feel like a good state, and that can kind of come from the heart as well, from the brain. And like you're saying, there's a sort of feedback loop between them.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of signals actually originate in the heart and are sent up to our brain. So it's not just about our brain necessarily in control of everything. If we can activate or modify our stress levels and our general health and our emotional health by managing our heart feelings.
And then should we do an exercise then to demonstrate this? What could someone do to get into this state?
Heart meditation, which we call heart-focused breathing and heart coherence techniques. And we can just demonstrate it online, actually.
Okay.
So, well, it starts off just by getting into a comfortable position in your chair. Sometimes it helps to close your eyes. Bring your focus to the area of your heart. Just imagine that you're thinking about or feeling physically the area of the heart, where your heart is in your chest. So you breathe in and out, but slow, deep breaths. And not forcing it, just breathing in slowly, a little bit more deeply than you would usually do. Just a moment pause and then a slow out breath. Not forcing it again. Just finding your own rhythm of slow, deep breath in, deep breath out. And keeping that attention on the area of your heart. And you'll find that just doing simple exercise for just a few minutes will change your state. And what you can do as well, after you've achieved this state of calmness, or even at the same time, you can also bring up in your imagination something or someone that you care about or that you appreciate, and just focus on that feeling. So how's that feeling?
Yeah, it's interesting because with the breathing, you definitely feel calmer. But when you brought in the think of someone that you care about, like it did feel different in my heart. Like it felt more uplifting as well. It did kind of change it slightly. So that was good. And I also felt like I wanted to kind of put my hand on my heart as well to sort of help me focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel calmer doing that. So thank you. It only takes a minute or two, like you say.
Yeah. So this is also really helpful just before a stressful meeting at work, or or you're in a conversation. I know if you're a mom, for example, and you have kids that are really problematic, and you think that you're just gonna, say something nasty and it's just gonna degenerate. And if you just take a moment to remember, but also, focus, not just that, people just say, oh, take 10 seconds deep breath, but that's just like a little too generic, I think. I think if you add in these techniques of focusing on your heart and bringing that feeling of appreciation, care, you refocus your perspective.
I think that's good. It kind of brings in like remembering, I guess, why you want to have this difficult conversation, because you love and care for this person, or I guess in a work situation, maybe thinking about the good things, appreciating, bringing in that kind of gratitude we spoke about, that quality of what is good about this person if you're going to have a difficult conversation, and that will help bring that into your heart.
We talked a lot about like how a person, when they center themselves and calm their own self, it has an influence on other people as well. And that can bring a positive outcome to sort of a tricky situation.
I think we all have times where we're kind of walking to a room and you can kind of feel the atmosphere, or you kind of get a bit of intuition, or that the other person is stressed or they're calm. And if they're stressed, it kind of makes you feel a little bit on edge, whereas if they're in a calm state, you can kind of feel that too, and that helps calm you down. And so we can have that same influence on others. If we know we might be going into a stressful situation, if we can get ourselves into a calmer, more heart-focused state, then if we then need to have that conversation with someone else or interact with other people, they can hopefully feel that too, and it will help calm them down and be more open to what we've got to say.
It's sort of like picking up on their vibe. I think that you said that before. That was really quite a good word. And I when we talk about this, I think about like people who work with animals, for example, horses who are super sensitive to our stress levels. And if you're really worried about working with a horse, the horse will feel it and be aggressive. Or animals, cats, dogs, they tend to react more to our stress levels. And as humans, we don't focus on this so much because we're all about spoken language. And we're not really focusing so much on our inner vibe. And but this is definitely something that I believe is real. Do you know about what the recommendations are for how you practice?
I would have thought maybe first thing in the morning, at night might be useful to do that, to get into the habit of doing it.
If you do it on a regular basis, at least for say a month or something, and you train, even if it's just like 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, you're training yourself to learn how to access that state of calm. So you like if before you go into a stressful situation, you're able to come to it quicker. You sort of learn how to do it faster, and that really helps. So now, Kate, you have this like device that you have that you showed me earlier. Do you want to show it to the camera?
Sure. So it's called an inner balance, which helps measure your heart rate, but also your heart rate variability. So, I mean, maybe do you want to explain a bit more about the heart rate variability, what
Oh,
that
yeah.
is?
We didn't explain about that. So when we talk about heart rate, we're usually talking about the number of beats per minute, say 60 beats per minute, 70 beats per minute. But this is actually an average over a minute. But in reality, it's not like if we have 60 beats per minute, it's not actually 1 beat per second. What happens is we have like some are a little bit faster and some of them are a little bit slower. And so some might be 0.9 seconds between one beat and the next, and then like after a few, it will be last for a few beats, and then after it like slows down to one, speeds up to one, and then it becomes 1.1 beat per second, and then it and then it will slow down again and become a little bit more rapid again, and not all happens in the space of a minute. So it's not about the average; it's about just slightly slowing up and slowing down and speeding up, slowing up, speeding down, and that's what we call the state of coherence. Because there's in that state there's a balance between the activating part of your nervous system, like the accelerator and the brakes, the accelerator and the brakes. But when we're in this sort of up and down balance, like variation, this is what we call the state of coherence. And when you actually have a two regular heartbeat, like it's exactly 1 beat per second for the whole time, then that's actually the state of stress, because there's no longer a balance between the accelerator and the brake. So this is where you get all the hormonal balance and everything in your body working properly. So
Yeah, that sounds good. And so this device helps to monitor that, because you can clip it onto your ear and it will measure your heartbeat. And then there's an app on your phone, and that will tell you, so you connect via Bluetooth. So I've got a past session here that I did where I managed to get into high coherence towards the end, but you can see at the bottom my heart rate variability at the beginning of the session. So it's kind of a little bit erratic all over the place. But then as it went on, even though it's still up and down, it's in a sort of regular pattern, and that's what you want.
So you can see that it's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and in a regular pattern, sort of like waves. And that's where you see that it's going faster and slower, faster and slower, faster and slower. And that's what we call coherence. So you can measure it actually.
Yeah. So that's what you measure with this device. And then it gives you the certain images as well to help you with your breathing, so you can breathe in and out with what they call the pacer. And then that helps you to sort of focus on that, and it encourages you to think about things that bring a sort of warm feeling to your heart that you mentioned before. And you can see on your phone, it kind of measures if you're in the green section or not. And there's different levels as well. So as you get more experience at it, then you can sort of work up to different levels.
I really like this because you can obviously do this exercise by yourself. You don't need to have any sort of device to help you. But it's just like sort of a Fitbit app. You can track what you're doing. So instead of like forgetting about it, it will like help remind you over time, like give you your average of your heart rate variability, and it will also, I think, motivate you a little bit to do it. Especially because like when you see it on the screen, you're like, oh, rather than you think, oh, I'm kind of feeling good, I don't know, but then you like see it on the screen and you're like, oh yeah, okay, and that helps train yourself to recognize that feeling as well.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because it has the sort of color scale. So green when you're in coherence, like blue when you're close, and red when you're not. So it's interesting to also, as you're doing it, like if you move into the different states, if you move into blue or red and you've been in green, to think, what was it I was thinking about, like how come I moved down into a different state as well. So because our thoughts and that sort of thing can influence if we're in coherence or not. And I find that if I'm being properly focused on it and really breathing into my heart, then that's when I manage to then get it into the green state, the coherent state. And it is helpful to be able to see that as well, to have that real-time data feedback.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kate, for coming on
Thank
the call
you.
with me. I hope this helps people understand what heart rate variability is and how people can control their stress, use it to control their stress levels. And bye for now.
Okay, thank